All right, there was another question right there.
I had a question about research for writing.
Okay.
Occupational research.
Yes.
Like place research.
Yeah.
How do you know when you've researched enough? Or how much should you, like, for instance, in Way of Kings, like, Kaladin's a surgeon.
Right.
And so you probably...
Did I talk to you guys about this?
No.
I follow the 80% rule, meaning you can usually get yourself 80% of the way there with a relatively minimal expenditure of time. And then the last 20, like it's like you spend like a few months researching, you can get yourself a lot of the way there. And then the next 10 years is what it takes to get the last 20%. I get myself 80% of the way there. Then I find someone who has the 10 years and I give them the book. We gave Way of Kings to a field surgeon, someone who was trained in field medicine, and said, read this and tell me where I'm going wrong. And there were a couple places, but I got most everything right because I'd done enough to get it to where I wasn't being embarrassing. And that's what I would strongly recommend to you. Primary sources are very useful. Going and just interviewing somebody, if like Dan was writing a book with a mortician. He said, hey, tell me about what you do, and just recorded it and got a release form and used that sort of thing. Interviewed people. But do a little bit of research. It actually, get yourself to the point where you don't sound embarrassing and then give it to someone else. I do this a lot with any of my books that has guns, because guns are one of those things that you can get so wrong so easily, and it can ruin the book for a substantial portion of the readership. And so I know my way around not sounding stupid, but then I give it to a gun reader that I know, gun nut, and he tells me, where I've gone wrong. So I try to get myself 80% of the way there. It's probably more like getting myself 50% of the way there and faking 30% of it, but that's what you do as a writer.
I wish more movies would do that.
Yeah. Boy, the amount of times that I've gotten, that he's yelled at me for using clip. It's hard to get clip out of your head because everybody uses it.
Such a misnomer.
But it's a magazine. Most guns don't use clips, unless you're in like World War I. Was it II that used clips? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you can still get them now.
Yeah, you still can. Yeah, no one uses them. So, yep. What you think of as a clip is a magazine. And clip looks like this, I think. Tell me if I'm wrong here, but here's your thing of bullets, and they're like tied together thing, and you stick that in, and then you've got your thing right here that's got this and the bullets in it. And spring on the inside, that's a magazine.
Clips you feed into an internal box magazine.
Mm-hmm.
The magazine is detachable.
Yep. So there you go. Something simple that most of your readers won't care, but the ones that do care, you'll lose a lot of credibility by doing some things wrong. So I'm actually a descriptivist linguistically. That means that if it's in common usage, then it's right. But there's no excuse. That's not an excuse for kicking people out of your story when it's their field of expertise. One of my personal this is a personal thing. This isn't a writing advice sort of thing, but it's a personal sort of metaphysical thing. Is my job in writing is to present people's viewpoints accurately, my character's viewpoint accurately, particularly when I disagree with them. I think it's the artist's duty to represent. Like, one of the things that I hate is when I read a book and there's a character who has my viewpoint, and it turns out that they are the straw man who's there to be proven wrong. Okay? Drove me crazy about the Da Vinci Code, right? There's a girl who's a theist, she believes in God, and the whole book is about Sophie, you idiot. Sophie, you idiot. Sophie, you idiot. She never presented a real argument. I felt like she was my character, and she was there to be an idiot. And I never want to do that to someone, no matter what their creed, their way of seeing the world is. I want to have them say, this character represents me, and they've given the good side of what I would argue. And yes, maybe some of the foibles too, but it's a real representation. That's why I want my gun nuts to use the right word, where sometimes... Yes, gun nut. All I know is you know guns. I don't know if you're Larry Correa, but you know the difference between a clip and a magazine, and you're probably one of like 3 in this classroom. But I want, when they read, to say, yeah, this guy who's like me, he uses the right language. That's just one of my personal things. I don't go into my writing to to teach, really. I go in my writing to tell a good story, and I'll let the characters teach if that's what they want to do. Some of them will, some of them won't. Personal thing. All right, questions?